Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mildly Competitive, the Pokemon focused TCG podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about playtesting recaps, any current meta thoughts, events, how do they work, and maybe end on any miscellaneous thoughts. To start us off, let's go ahead and introduce the cast this time. Starting up, we've got Dyson.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Dyson.
We got DJ.
Hey, what's going on, mildly competitive fans? DJ here.
We got Eric.
Hey, what's up? I'm back. I'm alive. I promise. Mostly.
And second to last but least, Trenton.
Alright, come on, man.
And me is Casey. I think it'd be cool to talk about some playtesting recaps. Maybe any decks we've tried that are kind of cool, or any kind of weird techs or meta things we've been trying out. And I'm going to have Dyson start.
I've been been trying to make the Chen Pao deck work. A tech card that I've liked in the deck is a Reverum instead of the B-Barrel line.
Digging the Reverum. Which one is that in? Discard an energy draw?
Yeah, discard
Drop to
energy,
6.
drop a 6.
That's pretty good.
So you can it's a good combo with
Is
the
that-
Chen Pao.
Is that really better than barrel though?
I like seeing an extra card. They can get you more combos.
But you have to have already seen a previously extra card, right?
Well,
It's extra as long as you have an energy in hand?
Right.
that and Shen Pao can get energy. That's not a problem. I think the main issue I would have is how much energy you need to discard, whereas you want to be keeping with Shen Pao. Because you can only recycle so much energy in the deck.
Well, you have
Yeah.
a lot of superior energy retrievals and stuff as well.
True.
Yeah, but then you're like wasting the point of Reverum, right? If 4 of your hand is already 4 energy.
But you have your
So you get four.
Baxcalibur up.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can just immediately attach them.
It's only a little bit of moving parts.
It's interesting. It feels like it's more math, but it could be a better payoff.
Yeah, I like it so it doesn't make my superiors awkward if I have 3 in the discard. I've in guaranteeing a lost box. That deck is pretty solid. The jet energy combo is insane.
Yeah, it seems like it. Being able to just even just attaching to the Giratina with it is really good. Because you only need the 2 and a colorless, so you can just bring that bad boy up there after doing a bunch of Comfy stuffs, or just the classic Comfy, bring up a Comfy, retreat that Comfy into third Comfy.
Right.
It seems good.
In the Gardevoir deck I'm playing, I've been liking the Drifloon Charm combo.
Which one's that?
Ugh.
The Drifloon, where it does 30 for each damage counter on it.
There's the new charm that gives a basic Pokemon plus 50 HP.
Oh, so
so
he's
technically
able
makes
to-
Drifloon big enough to get to, what was it, 330 or 360?
300, but if you have a Champions Festival, it can get to 330.
Gotcha.
Are you running a Champions Festival?
No.
You don't have one?
So 300.
No, sadly, you don't have the Champions Festival.
Yeah, it just
Coward.
you're adding in 2 cards, potentially more, that are kind of by themselves. Because if you never see the Drifloon, you don't want to see the charm. But if you don't have the charm, then Drifloon's not as good as a Gardevoir.
So you could play around the charm play. You could attach it to Cresselia to make it tankier. Attach it to your Manaphy.
And the Drifloon's not a half bad attacker by itself. It's pretty good into 1 prizers and even some 2 prizers.
I like it better than the Zacian.
Not being a 2-prizer is a very, very big positive versus Asian.
Yeah.
I think it probably is pretty bad into the Lost Box matchup, though.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
you probably wouldn't play it then. You should play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Guardian.
just don't play it at all. Easy. That fixes your Lost Box matchup right there. Just don't play the thingy.
Still don't play it. But yeah, that's what I've been testing out.
What about DJ? Do anything fun?
Yeah, I've been testing out some Gardevoir, right? Like this meta so far, we kind of already have our Defiant BDIFs, right? But there's different versions. So with Gardevoir, I've gone more with the Reversal Energy, Shiny Arcana, Mewtwo line. I've been testing that online, gotten a Greninja League, and it's It's kind of a hard deck to play because you're playing from behind. Like that's your whole game plan, right? So if people can recognize your game plan, like Lost Box, you know, if they see the Mewtwo piece early, they can just decide to take up multiple prize cards in one turn with a Sableye. But most of the time, their turn one, they're getting four in the lost zone, cram knocking out whatever they can, and at that point, um, all of your reversal energies are turned on because then you turn into a prize trade match. Um, and into Lost Box 2, your Gardevoirs pretty much one shot everything in the list just with the Shiny Arcana attachment. So having them to go through 240 HP or 140 HP opposed to attaching a couple times with Gardevoir EX makes it a little bit tougher to go through. Because once you get even up in prize trades, you just attach manually or use a Gardevoir EX to attach the energies to be able to take up a follow-up KO until the reversals turn back on. But it plays like a single prize deck, and towards the end of the game, you just set up an auto play, put U2 V unit in place, and start taking out multiple prize cards with its Side Explosion and its spread attack. So, been playing a lot of that, and then, still in the downtime, I've been really, really liking Meowscarada with Mew from Celebrations, being able to find rare candies and battle VIP passes and energy retrievals really helps that deck keep up with the meta. So
I actually picked up the pieces for that one. I want to try it out in paper.
oh yeah,
It seems fun.
it's really fun. In a lot of matchups, if you're able just to get the DT attached and put 200 damage or 220 on a V-Star Pokemon, you can later on use two Meowscarada's sniping abilities when it's on the bench. And I play escape ropes in there for that reason, to be able to follow up on prize cards. Or over time, move damage over with Alakazam.
All right, Eric, you been doing anything?
Not yet. I'm still thinking what I want to play. Probably Arceus Dura. That's just been my go-to for like 2 years now, so I can't not play it. But I am thinking of like maybe joining the flowchart and going back to Lugia, just because it's like the more consistent deck, despite how sometimes it feels like you're doing nothing and then you've won.
Would you
Just
play the
kinda-
colorless build or the single strike?
Probably single strike Urshifu, just because of the like ability to attack through things. With the G-Max overflow? No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
single strike. Yeah, something like that.
something like that. But with the big guy, just doing the big number that can't be stopped helps in a
one
couple
shot.
matchups.
I personally
And-
like the colorless build because, well, against Lost Box, it's really, really hard for them to take down your Snorlax because you have to basically two-shot it with Cramorant or knock it out with a V, because Sableye actually does not affect it. And
Wow.
it also seems better into Gardevoir as well, just being able to use the Snorlax in that as well.
Yeah, Unfaced Fat is kind of busted, huh?
And
you
it
can
just has
play
a
with
lot of
the-
HP, does a lot of damage.
What's that one energy that makes it not asleep?
Therapeutic energy.
There. Yeah.
Actually, I do kind of like the sound of the therapeutic Snorlax
The
build.
Blissey, yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it seems really strong.
Is it better to play with charms or?
I can't. I think I've seen people play it with like one charm, but I don't think you need a bunch of charms because the Snorlax already has a decent amount of HP, and it's already a one prizer attacking into a lot of two prizers.
Yeah, because 150, the charm puts you to 200,
Yeah.
which like, it's how good is 200 right now? It's really good against Lost Box,
Not
but
Is it?
Not really,
not
'cause
Lost Box, non-Lost. It's like V decks.
yeah.
They normally can hit that number pretty easily.
Yeah. It could be good against Arceus because Arceus a lot of times isn't hitting the 200 on you.
Yeah. True. That would actually be good for Arceus.
All right, Trenton, what you got?
I've just been playing Lost Box, so nothing
Boo.
super fun, but Yeah, I've just been playing the regular Turbo Lost Box with the four seals in it. So it's got like the Drapion, Raikou, and Dragonite, and it seems pretty solid so far.
Huh. It's good.
Yeah, I mean it seems pretty good. It has a couple bad matchups. Like Gardevoir seems like a pretty bad matchup since just because they have so many Ionos.
That
And
matchup's flip-flopped so many times.
yeah, it's so funny. It used to be one of the better matchups,
It's the
and now
best.
it honestly seems like probably one of the worst matchups for the deck.
That's really interesting.
Would you play an Iono in your Lost Box deck?
No, never. I maybe a Roxanne because you want to still keep some cards. So if you play Roxanne, it's you still get the benefit out of it. But if you play Iono, I feel like you would probably hurt yourself more than your opponent.
Yeah. I feel like hand disruption right now is just insane.
Yeah, for real.
If you can find the Lost Box build that wants to play Iono, I think you find the best deck in the format.
Well, that's just Lost Zone Giratina.
Yeah,
Oh, true, huh?
Last team can do it.
I think you found
Yep.
the BDIF.
They even play Path in it to secure the lock,
Yeah,
and
yeah, exactly.
it definitely has a much better Gardevoir matchup to that Lost Requiem attack on their EX.
Mhm.
It just helps the prize trade out so well.
Yeah, it's really hard getting those last two prizes in the Gardevoir Metro right now because you usually take out like 2 1 prizers early, and then if they put their Zacian down, you go for that, or you just take another 2 prizers, and then the last one you usually have to knock out the Gardevoir EX with Drapion because if they're playing it well, that's all they're putting into play. Well, also Ionoing you.
And I've been playing a couple different things. I've mostly been trying bad stuff just to see if I can do something that isn't Lost Box based, or if it is Lost Box based, it's bad Lost Box. So Goodra I think is officially dead. We can sync that one. I've burned my play set of cards. It's dead to me.
They were mine, which sucks.
Yeah, they were. What else? Reggie Drago Arceus is actually pretty cool. Really folds the Lost Box matchup, but there's some pretty neat ideas there with having the Noivern attack with Path, especially if you can basic lock them. But it's usually not enough in order to actually take a win because they'll swap out or force you to like boss retreat. And you probably want to try something like Ponchos, but it just wasn't enough for just them playing rope because it doesn't stop rope; it only stops boss. So they'll still always rope boss you out of the basic lock. Otherwise, I've been trying a Noivern Lost Box build, and it's been kind of sick. I played probably about 4 or 5 games of it. Half of them I've like thrown to misplays, but easily could have won, and it's not bad. There's some interesting ideas behind just like focusing out towards Cramorant for free attacks and just filtering with Chorus and whatnot into Noibat, double attach, and then get or like Noivern attach, because then you're doing a free attack with your Cramorant, and then you just evolve, attach again into the Noivern.
You got any spicy techs in your list?
Not particularly. I think it's the like generic list that's been running around.
Does it play Moltres?
Yes, so it is running one Moltres, one Hawlucha, one Squawkabilly, and one Sableye.
Yeah. That seems pretty cool because you can use the Moltres and the Sableye.
Yeah. The Moltres has come up a few times, especially because you usually sit with a couple dead energy, and you're like, cool, Moltres, energy attach, and then try to bop them.
Yeah.
And having the double Cramorant means you usually be able to attack and because it's like it does some cool math where you put 110, they'll usually knock it out in return, and you run double Raihan. And so if they knock it out, you can Raihan an energy onto your Noivern, evolve, or go search an energy or whatever order, and then your Noivern can come up, start doing 140, 150 with I run the Vitality Band. That way the 80 could also matter against Sableyes, and then you're like starting to try to lock them out there. The Hawlucha hasn't come up yet. It feels a little bit too spicy.
Have you considered playing, or do you play a copy or two of Lost City in the deck? Because I think that could also be really good in that matchup.
No, it runs a vacuum, but it's not the same purpose. But I think Lost City would be cool. It already runs 4 Path to the Peak.
Yeah.
and so it could be a 3-1 split.
Yeah, or you could even go 4-1. I just think the Path to the Peak or the Lost City can come up in certain matchups and be really good.
Yeah, more and more right now, especially with Super Rod, Clara, and like a bunch of these new recovery tools being ran. Lost City, I think the stock on that's going up.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I think that's basically been it. I did try the Arc Fortress deck. I call it Arc Fart. It was cool. It was pretty fun. Terrible into Lost Box. But
Oh yeah.
it's a great ladder deck.
Yeah, no, it's really quick games. Like you either scoop by the second turn or your opponent's about to scoop.
I think it is interesting. The ladder for PTCG Live acts really different to like real life, what you're expecting to see. Just because you can evaluate, like, you want to play more games, so you want to play faster decks, so your decks are greedier or bad. But sometimes if you win the coin flip enough, you'll go up the ladder. It's an interesting dynamic seeing it in Pokemon when coming from like other digital games.
Yeah, strictly that best of one format definitely dictates the type of decks that people play. And especially if you want to climb the ladder, right? Like, would you much rather, play a Gardevoir deck for 20 minutes to gain 20 weight points, or, spend 5 minutes with Miraidon and either win fast or lose fast and keep the grind going? So.
Oh, it's definitely doing one of those two things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miraidon at the beginning of the format and like just playing it on live, that deck was just like, okay, I'm done with all my dailies in like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
At most.
So I think this is a good way to walk into our next segment for the current meta. And I want to posit that the Chen Pao list is currently just blue Miraidon.
I can see that.
Yeah, I saw a meme on Twitter today.
It's exactly where I stole it from.
Where it was like the Office meme, and it's like, can you spot the difference between these? And then they're like, it's the same tier, or it's the same deck, or whatever.
It's so tricky because like decks like Deluge tend to be pretty good in the format. Like in the past, at least, with like the Blastoise Sacred Sword, like that deck was extremely solid. It was worlds winning, in fact. But like when they replicate it in like current Pokemon, it feels like it's too slow.
Doesn't
like
add
it's
up.
not doing enough.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's because of weak items. I think Deluge was always really strong at having items that let you like do quick drawing or searching for energy or refilling your hand. And nowadays we don't really have those same items.
Yeah, in that meta, you had the A-Spec computer search.
VS Seeker. You had Professor's Letters.
Execute that would permeration that would come back to your hand.
Yeah.
Propagation, yeah.
Oh yeah, Propagation. Oh, beautiful card.
So your retrievals were definitely free.
Yeah.
Your Ultra Balls are free. Searching for the pieces. Yeah, it's opposed to trying to get it definitely is more consistent than Miraidon, right? Like Miraidon, Tandem unit could find all the bench pieces, but you have to get lucky on the generators, to maximize those. But the Chen Pao just has the best supporter. Like every time I play against Chen Pao, it's always Irida turn 1, find their Frigibags, VIP pass, boom, their whole bench is set up turn 1, and at that point you just look to keep up with price trading and hopefully Iona low, or knock out their Frigibags if they overbench. So
It's one of those ones where like because of the stage 2 line, in Gardevoir it works because you typically stick on Curlia more than anything before you start actually attacking. Having a basic or a stage 1 that actually has an ability also just extremely powerful, let alone it being trade as an ability. But like Frigibax is just nothing.
He's just a dud. He's a little basic boy.
But I feel like though, if Chen Pao can take the first knockout on a Pokemon V, then I feel like then it's like a 50-50 game.
So long as they can't respond, right?
Right.
Like if you take a knockout and they're not able to like pull up your Braxcalibur and kill it.
Yeah.
So what do we think with our testing, especially with Trenton, who's been doing lots of events online? What do we kind of feel out as the current meta? Do we think it's any different than it was before? How unique do we think we are, or not unique? How do we think we're looking out for either an NAIC meta or maybe what you'd see at your locals?
Probably So probably 15% split for both Gardevoir and Lost Box. And
So 30% total, or like
yeah,
7.5,
no,
7.5?
30% total of the meta split between those two. And then after that, I think everything's probably under 10%. I'd imagine both Lugia and Chen Pao will be around 6 to 8% or something. And then
Okay.
everything else will just be thrown below
What are your
that.
thoughts on the Mew?
Mew it's probably actually going to be around the same amount as Lugia and Chen Pao. I think I don't know if DT Mew is still going to be around. We haven't really been able to see what it's like with the Spiritomb. But definitely Fusion Mew will be up there.
Live hasn't been able to see that either.
Yeah.
Do you think because of Live having Spiritomb broken, people might have forgotten the card exists? So going into NAIC, you should play a deck that's soft to Spiritomb, assuming people are just not going to run it because they have forgotten it's a card.
It's possible. Like, I wouldn't recommend playing DT Mew into an AIC just because you probably will hit a couple people who are playing it. But yeah, I think a lot of people might just not play it in their decks just because they haven't been able to test it, really.
And then, so that leads into part of what I wanted to talk about with the meta. Besides just assuming it'll be more the same, Guja's dead, Sableye Charizard's dead, Kyogre Charizard's replaced by Turbo. Do you think testing right now is giving us an accurate representation of what the meta is going to be because the majority of it's being done on Live and Live is in poo-poo mode? Like, do we think these are valid results we can actually take stuff away from?
I think you can take most of the results. Obviously, it might be like switched around a bit. So you might think one matchup that you're playing is like a favorable matchup, but it actually turns out to be a bad matchup. I think you really just have to think how will the cards that are banned right now affect my deck if you're going into NAIC. And if you don't think they're gonna really harm your deck all that much, I think it's a good play. But you should really take into account how the banned cards are gonna affect your deck.
Or even if you want to run any of those banned cards, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm hearing is Ting Lu is going to be the winner of NAIC.
It could be a
I
surprise
think it'll
winner.
be a sneak. I think it'll be a finely tuned list would probably sneak into top 8 pretty easily.
Yeah, because nobody's really got a chance to test against it all that much.
Mm-hmm. What's he weak to? Do we know?
Grass, I believe?
Grass.
Grass? Oh yeah, great. There's no good grass cards.
Yeah. Although the I forget what this card does, but the colorless Lugia has been running this Carnivine Pokemon card.
As opposed to a Carnivine Yu-Gi-Oh card.
No, as opposed to just like a different grass card.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I'm not 100% sure what it does.
Do you know which one it is?
It's the one from Crown Zenith. So it's 90 HP. For a single grass, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and poisoned. Oh, grass, a double colorless for 40. During your opponent's next turn, they can't retreat.
Okay, so I guess it's not.
Oh, it's Small Wild Lock.
Yeah, it's not for the damage. It's just for the no retreat.
Yeah, because if you can double turbo it, you don't do any damage with it,
Yeah,
so you can do
exactly.
the infinite lock.
Although you are playing Lugia and you're not playing Pidgeot or anything, so it's not 100% infinite.
Yeah, you have to have more cards in deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyone have any like differing or ideas of maybe some rogue stuff that might show up, or are we pretty agreed on Guardy, Lost Box, and whatever other like? It feels like we're in a state where I'm gonna tangent a little bit. Where like, and these are the metas I hate the most. Where we're kind of in like two separate pools. Where you have like an upper pool where it's like Guardy, Lost Box, and the decks that kind of contend up there. Then you have a pretty thick wall to like the second pool, which is everything else. And it's really difficult for those everything else's to get into the upper pool. Like, it feels like the worst meta deck is like a couple steps better than the best rogue deck. Does that feel like a fair read, or am I kind of being crazy?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think probably Lugia and Chen Power, and maybe DT or Fusion Mew are also in that top meta pool.
Yeah, but then if you want to run something like a Dark Box, outside of like a miraculous all Mew run, it seems pretty tough to crack into the like bigger pool.
Yeah, like you
Or the
might
better pool, I
have
should
like
say.
1 or 2 favorable matchups in that top pool, but the other ones you're just gonna get destroyed by.
Yeah, it seems like there's some pretty significant like strength variances between these meta decks, which I don't remember. I feel like that used to be an issue, especially in the like ADP format or like Reshi's art or whatnot, where there was a pretty big gap between the decks. But it feels like something like Lost Box makes it so much worse to try anything else.
Yeah, it's definitely
Just because you're usually punished by playing with the bench, which most of those decks have to do.
it's definitely a gatekeeper, the Sableye card.
It's like the old Night March, right? If you couldn't beat Night March, you probably shouldn't play the deck.
Mm-hmm.
When
Just
Lost
'cause
Origins came out, I thought that card was so mid.
Which one?
Sableye when it first came out.
Oh, right,
people
yeah.
Like this, you need 10 Lost Zone cards.
What?
If you look at the top two like undefined, like the undefined decks of the best two decks in the format, they both have built-in draw engines that go into their archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that's why it's so tough for all these other, decks to compete, right? Because even Arceus with their Starbirth, it's like it's only like the best you can get is a draw 5 with a Squelbit engine to continually draw through your deck. But just each turn, I think the difference is being able to see more cards with your deck, right? Because Gardevoir has long turns where you're drawing, upwards from 2 to 8 cards with a Greninja in play. Not to mention the following turn, we can go Refinement, evolve to the Shiny Arcana to draw 2 extra cards. It's just other decks can't keep up with it, so they either have to run the same engine or like find a cheese factor, like a lone Vulpix going into Gardevoir.
Yeah, find something that's so kind of stronger than what that previous field is even able to run.
Also, I realized I did forget to include the Arceus decks in my meta prediction. So
Oh yeah.
I was
Sorry
trying
about
to think
that.
where they would fit.
probably around 5% for Arceus Giratina, and everything else is probably around 30% or under.
Right. Like if you're going into such a large tournament, you want to avoid all the ties, right? If you play Gardevoir or Lost Box, you really have to worry about that. Because if you hit a mirror, or you Lost Box even to the Gardevoir matchup can take sometimes 30 minutes for one game. People are like, let me just sleeve up Arceus and, put my Umbreon in here to knock out the EX and, being able to set. Because the thing that Arceus can do is they can set up on board to where their hand doesn't matter and Iono doesn't affect them. Right? Like even watching, Dyson and Casey play test the other day, there's a time where Dyson had 10 cards in hand and like 8 cards in a Lost Zone, and he had 2 Mirage Gates in hand, and then he got Iono'd. At that time, it's almost like, is it worth it just to burn the resources to put everything in play, just to counteract the comeback cards right now in the format? So it's like playing chess, thinking 2-3 moves ahead. Like how does my opponent win?
Yeah, a lot of times if I'm playing Lost Box and I think I'm gonna get Iono'd, I'll usually try to use the Mirage Gates and like set up a second Sableye or my next attacker like preemptively.
Yeah, like this is something that definitely expands it, like reveals its head whenever we go into a format with shufflers like Iono, Marnie, and you either have to be able to build up redundancies so that you can either do something from the board that gets you advantage, or use everything you can that's possible and then not play anything else. Where with N, you would like not play an Ultra Ball, or you'd hold back a level ball, or like you'd keep back your searches until you're able to actually utilize them. And when you got hit with the N, it would shuffle and you'd probably draw some of those pieces back. Yeah. With Iono, it's tricky because you're not going to see those same pieces. So if you have multiple Ultra Balls, you might have to just use them. That way you're thinning so you could theoretically see the card you're going to shuffle onto your bottom sooner. It's really strange.
Yeah. A lot of times too, you'll just prep for it the next turn, just pull like random bad cards out of your deck with like Ultra Ball or whatever.
I think that's probably going to be the key to this meta. Burn the resources where you get Iono.
Right, I'm curious, what do you guys think your top 5 cards from Paldea Evolve that's going to affect competitive play going.
I don't think any of our number one cannot be Iono.
Yeah. I think that's just number one. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
So really, it's what is our top
Your 2
four
through 5
cards.
cards.
2 through 5, yeah. 2 through 5.
I'd say Super Rod's probably my second.
I was
Yeah.
about to
yeah,
say Super
yeah,
Rod.
I, think,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Just because that card is always so bonkers. Especially with the errata where it's up to 3 now. That's
Yeah.
like actually
Yeah.
pretty huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Super Rod Iono are definitely my top 2.
But
Um,
after that, it's like, it's not like every deck plays them. It's only like a certain deck is gonna play it.
I think Jet Energy might be the
Oh,
next most
yeah,
ubiquitous.
Jet,
yeah.
Jet, or any of the new special energies really.
Yeah, mostly Jet though. I feel like.
Mostly
Yeah.
Jet. Jet, Luminous Reversal. Like, Jet's obviously better, but the other 2 have uses.
Yeah. Well, reversal
Yeah.
is important. It's flipping the Mew like the Gardevoir matchup is flipping because of reversal.
I think Reversal and Jet are both probably equal for me, and then after that, it's gonna be the Luminous.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you guys
Which is
feel
still good.
You guys feel like, maybe Squawk ability will crack the top 5?
That was the next one I was
Yeah.
thinking is actually Squawk.
That-
Like, I still need to play with it some more, but I have a. At first, I wasn't getting it, why it was good, or like how you'd want to use it, and I've been playing it more, and I'm realizing it's less about the draw and more about being a really efficient energy accelerator. Because just being able to, like, on your turn 1, discard 2 energies or something, and then going into your next turn, Squawk ability with an energy accelerate onto something, it probably will die at 160 or not, and then it's really like it's drawn 6 and then also accelerated on its own, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Right, now how, like, effective does that make, a card like Lugia, right? So now you play your Roma energies, and, you're hoping for your heads to get, discard your Archeops, you get a Tails, you go find Squawk ability, and then you get to, dig 6 cards deeper to find the, research or ways to discard that. I don't know. I feel like Squawk ability turns on a lot of decks now, that we might, really get to see this coming up weekend, right? It's this weekend for us, following weekend for everybody else, but, we're hoping that we hit some of the nails in the head when you look back at any IC.
Can't wait to be so wrong.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping.
Now this is gonna come out, and they're gonna be like, "What were these guys thinking?"
Yeah, man, these guys suck. Like, their name is so on point.
Yeah.
More like admittedly competitive.
Do you guys feel like Spiritomb makes a high percentage of decks inclusions?
I think it's actually going to be lower represented than we think, and then high again. Because we're going to go into this weekend without those cards being on PTCG Live, so people aren't going to be testing with it. So I don't think people are going to be putting it into their deck.
Yeah. I feel like though, in Gardevoir it seems like a really, really good card, because it doesn't affect you at all. It only helps, or it only affects the opponent, as well as decks like Arceus Giratina I think will really benefit from it if they're playing it as well.
And it doesn't really truly cost you any bench space, because if you like have to make it active or something, you just fade it out.
Yeah, exactly. And then your opponent's your opponent just crashes.
Yeah.
Right. It just takes the spot for your Manaphy in most matchups, right? You either have your Manaphy in play against the Greninja decks, or you're playing your Spiritomb against the other V decks. I think was it you, Trenton, or Casey, that was saying that, like, now you have a tech against a Lone Vulpix with Spiritomb?
Yeah, I think that was me.
That's a bad. How though?
Your Zacian in Gardevoir, you can turn off its ability and go through a Alolan Vulpix.
Oh, they have no abilities. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right. It doesn't just have.
Yeah.
It doesn't turn it into that.
So
It just,
in the Gardevoir matchup, I think it's a really, really good card.
True.
Whoa, that just blew my mind. Hold on. Whoa.
Hold on, whoa, wait a minute. What? Wow, wait, hold on,
I'd
what?
love to play test that.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of innovation that I think we're missing because we don't have these cards on live. So, like, what is the meta going to look like?
We're pretty close. I don't think we're that far off.
We're going to have, like, 17 different decks in the top 18, and it's going to be some wild, crazy, like, basic V piles with all the... or, like, a mono Clef Key with Spiritomb decks teching, like, a single Arceus or something.
Something stupid.
Oh, yeah. You guys want to take a? Yeah. Did you guys posted? You guys see the I don't know who it was. The pile of V's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rainbow
The basic V
Toolbox.
deck.
Oh, I love those decks so much.
I can
don't
almost
think they
bet
work.
that guy's gonna bring it to an AIC because he's played it for a lot of online events now. So
I bet he feels really comfortable with where it's at, and then
Yeah. Is it
not,
just one
not
guy
knowing
playing
how
it?
to play against it.
yeah, exactly. Like it's just mostly a surprise factor. Like people will be like, "What's going on right now?" They just don't know how they're supposed to play against it.
Yeah, and then
So,
he gets
yeah.
a Spirit Tomb played against him, and he's just like,
Yeah. So for those like the deck we're referring to plays several different typing attackers that are V Pokemon, right? Like Raikou, Suicune.
Dragonite, Drapion.
Jirachi.
That's fine.
Yeah, Jirachi keeps the energies in play, and it's a water basic energy base, so you can Melanie and attach it to your V Pokemons, and then it uses luminous energy to fulfill the required energy cost, and you just hit for weakness. Did it play Sky Stone, guys?
It did
Forest
Forest.
Seal.
4 seals, so it's just straight consistency base.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is actually close to a deck I was working on using Armor Rouge instead of the Melanie engine. I might try this instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This one-
no, it seems fantastic.
On paper, it's super duper cool, but having played like different kind of basics decks like this in the past, it always ends up being like such a not fun experience in the end.
Yeah. No, you have to play like perfectly.
Mm-hmm. But you have to play more perfect than the Lost Box player, and that just sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it also can take advantage of the bravery charm, right? If you need to.
Were they playing it? I mean, it can, yeah, but
It can, but they weren't. Although
They
I don't
weren't.
know if you need the 4 shoes.
yeah,
Like that could be something.
you probably
that's-
do need them.
You only
for
need like 2
consistency.
shoes, I think. 1 for each foot.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. All right.
Well, this man's a dog, bringing the same deck to all the online tournaments, so he needs 4 shoes.
Woof.
He's got that dog in him.
Oh.
All 4. Okay, so walking on from that one. Events. A lot of people have been playing these late nights. I know I only learned about it not too long ago. It seems like online events are pretty popular nowadays. A lot of people use them for playtesting, and I think it'd be a cool idea to kind of explain the process of entering them and playing in them, and kind of just the experience with these online events. And we have someone here who plays most of, not all of them, because they have no job. Trenton, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sounds good. So
Wait, do you have a job?
well, not. I'm not working this week, but
Okay.
So
The man just graduated 2 weeks ago. Come on,
yeah,
guys.
Give me a little bit of a
You
break.
should have had a job 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. 2 years ago, even.
No, it was 2 weeks. All right. So basically, what I do is just like go to Limitless TCG and then make an account, of course, and then you can search by what game. There's a couple games. I just play Pokemon TCG, but it'll tell you like the players, the name of the tournament, and you can go into it. It'll have all the rules and stuff there for you. But when you're in a tournament, you have to submit your deck list. So it is open deck list. You are able to see your opponent's deck list, which is definitely something to note.
Anyone who's played the team challenges would probably recognize that.
I did not, but yeah, it's probably the same sort of thing. And then when you sign up, it'll have you put your in-game name and your deck list. And then usually an hour before the tournament, you'll have to check in for it, just so they kick out basically all the people who've decided not to play in it. They don't want too many round 1 free wins, basically. And then usually you have to check in every round as well. I think Dyson could probably tell you about that. But
Yeah. If you don't
you
check
should probably-
in within the time, you'll get that game lost. Very frustrating.
yeah, so probably remember to check in, but it'll just tell you your opponent's in-game name. You just go ahead and add them and play a match with them. And then you report the win. Make sure you also take screenshots of your wins. a lot of a lot of times your opponent will just, be fine with it. But I've had a couple times where the opponent marks that they win, and then you have to like call a judge and stuff, and that's not
They
fun.
be cheating. They be trying to cheat you.
Yeah, but
Ugh.
yeah, no, it's a really fun experience if you're trying to get better at the game. I would definitely recommend it, and you can also just drop whenever. So if you're not doing too hot, you just drop and go on to the next one. But
It'd be funny if they like force you into the event, like they lock your computer with like ransomware. It's like you'll only get the password after you finished all 6 rounds and formed your final key.
yeah, for sure. But usually the way they work is X amount of Swiss rounds, which are just best of ones, and then they usually have like top 8 after that, which is best of 3. So yeah,
I'm
it's a really
pretty
good
sure
experience.
that's how the Japanese like regionals and whatnot
Yeah,
run.
yeah. I
is-
think it's just the same format basically.
Mhm.
But no, it's a really fun experience. You get a play test, and you're going up against people who are actually like trying to win. It's not just like ladder half the time where you go against somebody who's playing just like.
Like
Right.
Rhydon or Shen Pao, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Well,
It's like
I wouldn't
real.
say Shen Pao. I don't think it's that bad. But yeah, you can go against people who are actually like trying pretty hard to win and stuff, and then sometimes you can even win codes and stuff if that's what you're looking for.
And most of the time they're free, right?
Yeah, they used to cost like 1 pack on TCGO, but obviously we can't trade packs anymore. So I haven't seen any of them that you've had to pay for. All of them look free to me.
So create a free account on Limitless, and then just go find the non-completed events yet and chuck in a registration.
Yep. I usually find the ones with the most people because that's going to give you the most accurate experience to the real.
Yeah,
meta.
most rounds you're gonna end up playing.
Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah.
So playing these online events, how often are you running into these like PTCG live issues?
So I actually haven't I've been like going into the tournaments like pretty regularly for the past week now. And I haven't had the first tournament I had bugs, but I was playing Gardevoir, and I dropped after 2 rounds because I lost the first 2 rounds to bugs.
Nice.
And then I'm like, all right, I'm done with this, and I started playing Lost Box, and I haven't encountered any bugs that have caused me to lose the game since. So
Okay. Probably because you're playing the deck that is probably the most solid on the system.
yeah. But I think most decks are fine right now. It's really just Gardevoir or like maybe some niche decks or whatever.
Yeah, like Golurk,
Yeah.
Gardevoir, or something like some kind of niche,
Yeah, exactly.
list like that.
Very neat.
Mhm.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, niche or yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Thanks for sharing. I don't know if anyone else had any online experiences. I know Dyson, you were playing some.
I played in one today. Did alright, 1-4-2. But I found that these limitless tournaments, when people are actually trying to win, it's really it's gonna sharpen up your game.
Okay. Do you think the sign up process was easy to get in and do you just like jump into a Discord, or do you have to direct message, or how's that system work?
With what?
With going through the tournament, like when you're in the event, how do you like meet up with your opponent?
Oh,
Is it through...
it's just all on Limitless.
Yeah, it's all
Oh,
on the
okay.
website,
Oh, wow.
so it's pretty easy. You just gotta remember to check in.
Yeah, it seems important.
Don't.
Wouldn't want to get a 6 prize penalty for that one. All right. Well, does anyone have any final thoughts, parting thoughts for this episode?
Ban VIP Battle Pass.
Whoa.
Ban it.
Whoa.
Get it out of here. Get him out of here. It's at this
I don't
point.
hate the statement.
It's just it adds consistency to decks that probably shouldn't get it.
Well, it's also like one of those polarizing open. Like, oh, did you see one? All right, cool. You're just ahead. You saw 2? GG.
Yeah,
Jesus.
you got to play 4 nest balls in a single turn
Yeah.
at the cost of 2 cards.
No, yeah. In the Lost Box mirror match, a lot of times it's just determined by you see your Chorus and VIP before the other
Yeah.
person.
That even before this recent set, when we were at the Portland regionals, I experienced the same thing where I was playing Lost Box and side events, and I saw 2 VIP passes for 2 of the 3 rounds, and I swept. Like,
Yeah.
GG. Better be lucky than good.
Yeah. It's a little bit unfortunate how it works like that. But
Yeah, I think VIP Pass might be one of the strongest first turn cards Pokemon has made.
Yeah, for sure.
There's been some good ones, but this one feels the most polarizing.
Yeah,
Since I've been playing with them.
it feels like almost every deck has to play it. Like if you're not playing it, you're not gonna get ahead of your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Although I feel like if they were to be banned, it'd be interesting. But I feel like that would just amp up those top 1-2 decks.
But I think what it would actually do is cut the games that had higher variance. So we'd probably see the good decks still doing just as well, if not technically better, because you've cut the variance from the decks that shouldn't be playable, but only are because sometimes you get the VIP pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does. I agree, it would do that, but I disagree on that technically being a bad thing.
But yeah, no. I don't necessarily like the VIP pass because it's like, oh wow, I got it on turn 1. I just get free basics, and then
My skill is showing.
yeah, and then the opponent's like, oh, I missed all of them. Now I have 4 dead cards in my deck.
That's why we play Lost Box, so you just Lost Zone them.
Yeah, yeah.
Gardevoir trades them. Hence
Yeah.
back to the top 2 decks. Reliable draw.
Although
engines.
Gardevoir, almost like every time I play Gardevoir in the tournaments, they'll just be like, all right, full bench turn 1, and I'm like, okay, well, like for Lost Box, the one thing thing you need to happen in that matchup is either be able to get rid of the Manaphy like on your first or second turn, or them not be able to get the Manaphy out on their first or second turn. It feels like they can do that pretty consistently.
Guys, we've been looking at it wrong. It's time to bring out the Greninja V Union.
Hey yo.
What does that one do again?
Yeah, what's it
all
do?
the other attacks are relevant. It just does the 100 snipe to the bench to each Pokemon.
You gotta look
Yeah,
at their
that
hand,
snipe is
too.
actually kind of funny.
Yeah. So you just try and live the dream. All 4 pieces in deck, you get it in the discard by turn 2. Rare Candy, Bridgebacks, attach,
Yeah.
detach.
So it has the colorless attached to water energies from your discard to it. It's got for 130 for a single water, and then prevent all item card effects done to this card. It can't be poisoned and does 100 each of your opponent's benched. And then you can, once per turn, look at your opponent's hand, and then do 180 for double water and a colorless. And then they can't retreat.
I don't hate the 100 spread. Like it'd be cool if somebody like found a way to tech that into Chen Pao or something.
Yeah, it'd absolutely be living the dream. Cross switcher your Manaphy, like Clansling Clown,
Oh
knock
yeah.
out all your Ralts and Curlias, and
Yeah,
you know.
that'd be insane.
I want to live in that world.
Yeah. Where you get all that. A lot of times when I'm playing Lost Box, it feels like a lot for your opponent to be able to get everything they need to cross switcher the Manaphy and cancel and clone it. But when they do get it feels pretty powerful. It's probably easier in the cross switcher version. Most people aren't playing that at the moment, I don't think. So they have to have the boss, so they can't just like ear it for the cancel and clone. But with the cross switcher, it might be a little better.
I know. With that, you guys, I'm pretty sure that I saw this. Someone was saying that the season for points starting to count will be July at some point.
Yeah, I believe it's usually July 1st, but in the past a couple of years it's been like July 7th or something. But I believe it is July 1st is when the points go towards next year.
Cool. So yeah, definitely for all you fans out there, like season 2024 is among us. For those that didn't make Worlds,
It's time to start grinding.
Yep.
yeah.
Get up on it.
If I do beat you at locals, I'm sorry, but gotta get those
I'm
points,
not.
you know.
I need that.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Mildly Competitive Podcast. If you enjoyed what you saw or heard, be sure to follow us on YouTube or Spotify.